Alright, let's talk about The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. I am admittedly not the biggest fan of true crime, but this book does blend true crime and a historical event together to make it more palatable, so let's get into it. The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson is a nonfiction historical true crime blend that tells the story of the 1893 Chicago World Fair and also the doings of notorious serial killer H.H. Holmes. Now, as I mentioned, true crime really is not my cup of tea, but I found this book a lot more palatable, alternating between the architectural and kind of chaos that was the Chicago World Fair and H.H. Holmes lurking on the periphery. The chapters that surrounded H.H. Holmes weren't overly graphic the way a lot of true crime tends to be, so I was able to stomach this one. And while I do enjoy a good historical text, a nice nonfiction historical book, a book about architecture really wasn't up my alley, nor was true crime, but somehow combining the two made it work. The parts of this book that surround the Chicago World Fair were a hot mess in the most entertaining way. This fair was doomed to fail. Everything and anything went wrong during the construction of this fair. So there is a real sense of glowing achievement and triumph when the fair finally does open. So many innovative exhibits and attractions came about from this World Fair, including the Ferris wheel. And the H.H. Holmes chapters did get pretty dark at times. Who knew it was that easy to sell a body to get rid of it? All I knew about H.H. Holmes going into this book was the nonsense from the Supernatural episode featuring him, so nothing I knew about him really was factual. So I did find this part of the book pretty enlightening. Even though I don't really gravitate towards true crime, H.H. Holmes is a firm staple in history as being America's first serial killer. He was active around the same time that Jack the Ripper was. The tonal shift between the Chicago World Fair and H.H. Holmes was at some times off-putting and other times a relief. I really don't know how I feel about it. I do think there was a serious lack of balance between the two because the book really is about the Chicago World Fair with a bit of H.H. Holmes peppered in because he was there at the time. I rated The Devil in the White City 3.5 stars. I can say I would recommend this book to anyone interested in the time period, but if you're looking for something specifically about the Chicago World Fair or specifically about H.H. Holmes, this might not be the best choice for that, but if you want to just read about Chicago at that time, this is a good choice. And I know Martin Scorsese has gotten the rights for this film and is adapting it with Leonardo DiCaprio starring as H.H. Holmes, which is a little weird as a casting choice because H.H. Holmes was in his late 20s at this time and Leonardo DiCaprio hasn't been in his late 20s for 25 years, so that'll be interesting. Like, subscribe, and follow for more book reviews.